Boom, we are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It is, of course, your boy, Nolan Hawkeye Anthony here. Let me turn that down a little bit. Good, good, and good. I have a great show for you guys today. Instant reaction. Well, not instant reaction, but a reaction nonetheless to the Iowa Hawkeyes versus the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. The Iowa Hawkeyes came into this game on a 2-game win streak. They were starting to battle back into the Big Ten after starting 0-2 and 1-3 in the Big Ten, as they had played a very, very tough schedule. And quite frankly, they let a few games away from them that they could have won. I mean, they could have beat Purdue. They had chances to win that game, but they didn't seize it. They had chances to beat Illinois at home, but they didn't seize that. So that is on them. But regardless, the point is that they did not have any bad losses, and the bad resume, or well, not bad resume, the bad record was more a result of the tough, brutal schedule rather than just losing bad, just being a bad team in general for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Sorry, I'm trying to get this set up here. So the Iowa Hawkeyes took on the Rutgers Scarlet Knights last night. I'm recording this in the morning, 3 a.m. my time in California. And it was a fun game. It was a very physical contest. This is probably my favorite stuff to watch as a former athlete and as a spectator myself now. I love the physical contest, and this is just classic Big Ten basketball, y'all. I mean, it is classic Big Ten basketball. But before we start diving into the actual game and the highlights, I want to mention going to 247hawkeye.com, smashing that subscribe button because, well, subscribing makes you feel good. And at the very least, like, comment, share. I'll put the PayPal link in the description. Follow me on Twitter at 247hawkeye. The link to that, to my Twitter page, is in the description. And without further ado, let's get into this. So the Iowa Hawkeyes lost 48-46 in a very, very low scoring contest, obviously. Very, very low scoring. And, you know, as I was watching this, I started to think, man, if the Hawkeyes cannot pull away, this absolutely favors Rutgers, because Rutgers is a defensive ball club, whereas Iowa is an offensive ball club. Rutgers just doesn't have the offensive capabilities to stick with a team like the Iowa Hawkeyes. And Iowa just didn't have it all night. They couldn't string together shots. They were very tentative. They were shot watching, watching other people take shots, shying away from shots because they were scared to take the shot. And even with all of this, they were still in control of much of the game. Matter of fact, I think most people would agree that by the end of it, you were even shocked that Rutgers was actually up because Iowa was in the lead. Now, I don't want to make it seem like Iowa was dominating, because they weren't. They absolutely were not. But they were leading much of the game. Rutgers did get a few leads here and there within the game. But the reality is that this was 100% beneficial to Rutgers. And the reality is, at this level, okay, the styles of play, these ball clubs are so good at their styles of play that if the game starts going in that direction, usually because you are so good at that style of game, I know I just said that phrase 4 or 5 times, you will probably win. And Rutgers, they got exactly what they wanted. They wanted to keep the game below 70 points, and they wanted to have a shot at the end of the game to put some pressure on the Hawkeyes, which they did. Iowa had 2 possessions in a row where guys, and literally Robbie Hummel was on the thing saying, basically saying, why are you guys passing up open looks? The Iowa Hawkeyes passed up 2-3 open looks. And that is exactly what Rutgers wanted. They wanted Iowa to get tight, which they did. And they felt confident that they could make the necessary plays to win the game towards the end. Now, before I move on anywhere else, okay, I do have to talk about 2 plays that were absolutely atrocious. And in order to do so, I need to pull those up. And for me, one is worse than the other because one of them had a certain call on the floor, and out of fear, they reversed the play call, which was garbage. And there was an actual bucket. Let me fast forward to it here. Let me pause this and I will pull it up. So give or take, this is where it's at. And let me turn the volume on. I think most people have watched this. By the way, the guy whose YouTube channel this is Matthew Loves Ball. And right here, it says, I do not intend to claim copyright of any game video uploaded, which means we can use this. Matthew, thank you. If you want to sponsor the show, get a hold of me. I think it would be a really, 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 really good partnership. Anyways, let's watch.
Now, to break everything down for you coming up.
By yourself.
In this first half, and a foul.
Before it even happens, guys, this is why I love Joe Toussaint.
Baker.
He does things like this.
6 seconds. Baker with 4 seconds. Toussaint picks his pocket. Toussaint with the steal. 1 second to the rim. Does it count? It does.
Okay.
Count.
So I'm going to turn the volume off and just play the video in the background. The shot counted on the court, okay? And they went to the monitor to check it out. Before we even go to that, like I said, the play was phenomenal. Joe Toussaint is an athletic freak. He is as quick and as explosive as it gets. So as you guys can see there in the background, it was called off. Guys, that I think even Rutgers fans would agree that was bad. That was bad because even Robbie Hummel, and I'm not saying, I'm not trying to appeal to authority or appeal to consensus. That is a fallacy in philosophy. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just using it as evidence. And the evidence that we got was not strong enough to overturn the previous call and wave off the bucket. That was bad. That was bad. And to me, this one is even worse because that is 2 points. Who knows how those added 2 points would affect the game? Who knows the momentum, the energy that would have been taken from that excellent play from Joe Toussaint? It was deflating that it got waved off because at a certain point you start thinking, man, everything's just against us tonight. So that was brutal. And then let's go to the end of the game. I'm going to play it. Let me see here. I'm going to play it from about 2 minutes because I want you guys to see in the background the bad shots that the Hawkeyes were taking. And I do think that I need to discuss this with regards to this game before I get into the bad play call. So it's about, let's go to 2 minutes here. Let's go to 2 minutes. Let's see if I can get it to 2 minutes. Jeez, all these ads. Okay, let's go to 2 minutes. There we go, 2:17. The other thing I want to discuss is, while this is playing in the background before we get to the final play, is where was Chris Murray? Ever since the dude scored 29 points, he's been nowhere to be found. And I hate to say this. I really, really do. And I'm not saying I believe this, but I'm saying that I am starting to get curious and I am starting to have a more critical eye, because anybody who has played sports will tell you that when a dad coaches a team, regardless of how unbiased he tries to be, he always leans and gives more room. See, that was a terrible shot. He always ends up giving more room to his boy than he does to anybody else, especially a person who is competing at the same position as his boy. Now, Keegan Murray has to play because Keegan Murray is excellent. He has to play. And at the end of the day, Fran McCaffrey still does want his boys to be on a winning team. Like I said, I don't necessarily believe this yet, but guys, Chris Murray and Patrick McCaffrey, in my opinion, are about at the same level. And I would probably put Chris Murray slightly ahead of Patrick. He just doesn't have the game experience that Patrick has. But as far as capability goes, you guys saw it in his 29-point performance. By the way, maybe Phillip did get hurt there a little bit, but I also think that he absolutely did not want to shoot those free throws. Just a thought, okay? And I've seen way, way worse things happen, okay? And I don't really think there's an issue with that. I mean, it's totally fine. And he probably did get his ankle tweaked a little bit, but I also don't think he wanted to shoot those free throws. Anyways, I don't want to stay on that too long because I'll end up getting some Hawkeye fans saying, you can't, don't call up. And I need to talk about Phillip, by the way. He has played excellent. I am very excited about Phillip, okay? But point is that, in my opinion, Chris Murray is as capable, just with less game experience, if not more so capable, than Patrick. And I think Fran McCaffrey is starting to get some dad tunnel vision. And it's like, how in God's name can you keep a guy who is capable of dropping 29 points on the bench the whole game? Especially when the guys at his position aren't balling. They're playing mediocre. Very mediocre. So that is going to be something to watch. And the other thing I keep banging on the desk for is Iowa must play either Agundale or Mulvey a combined 8 to 12 minutes a night, because they need some pressure relieved. They need to have their Fran McCaffrey needs to have his top guys have a little bit more energy than they have had. I mean, right now he's basically playing the top 5 all the way through. And I just don't think that is sustainable. I don't. And furthermore, I think, and you remember before the season, one of the things Fran McCaffrey was pounding the table about was how deep his team was. How deep his team was. Yet, guys that probably should be playing, at the very least, Chris Murray and Aaron Eulis, nothing. On a night where Jordan Bohannon goes 2 for 10, 2 for 11. Excuse me. So I was not big with Fran McCaffrey's rotation last night. And I've said this to you guys many times. One of the biggest criticisms I had with Jordan Bohannon deciding to come back was that I knew Fran McCaffrey, as he has done for the past 4 or 5 years, 5, was going to lean on Jordan. When, in my eyes, and I know some people may disagree with this, Jordan is good, and he has been an all-time great Iowa Hawkeye. But in reality, he is not that good to where you can't look at a different rotation in a night where he goes 2 for 10, 2 for 11, whatever he went. And Fran McCaffrey absolutely leaves him in way too long and trusts him and lean on him way too much. Way too much. And on the flip side, what I would want to see is a guy like Eulis and Chris Murray grow, because their growth will help the Iowa team. And Agundale, their growth will help this Iowa team. It will. It will. But I don't think we're going to see that, folks. I think we're going to see this. And even if Iowa had won this game, I would still have the same criticism. Where were Eulis, definitely Chris Murray, and the bigs? In a game where the only people playing good was Philip Rebraca and Keegan Murray. Anyways, let's finish this. Missed free throw, not good. And I do want to make that point before we get to this very, very bad call. Iowa had chances to win this game without the ref's call. They missed free throws. They missed open layups. They had 3 horrible possessions at the end of the second half where everybody was like, you shoot it. No, you shoot it. No, you shoot it. And that is one, if there's one thing I want to say about Keegan Murray that is negative slightly, the dude is an absolute baller. He is one of my favorite players to watch. But when it comes, there's 2 criticisms that I have of Keegan Murray. Number one, he does not affect the game in a impactful way as much as a guy like Luka Garza. In other words, guys like LeBron James, guys like Luka Garza are so dominant in how they play basketball that it affects the whole game. It affects the whole game. They can almost dictate the entire game. And I haven't really seen that from Keegan, because Keegan doesn't really force stuff when I think he should sometimes. He really does play within the flow of the game. He doesn't dictate the flow. And I think he needs to add that to his repertoire because he is skilled enough to do that. That leads me into my second criticism, if you can call it that, which is towards the end of the game, in multiple games now, We have not seen, with the exception of the big 3-point shot against Minnesota, which was huge. Okay. I got it. That was a huge shot. But with the exception of that, we have not seen Keegan Murray anywhere to be found within the last 2 minutes of the game. And that is money time. That is when he needs, especially when his team is saying, you pass it. No, you pass it. Or you shoot it. No, you shoot it. Especially when they're doing that. He needs to go get the ball and say, give it to me. I'm going to get us a bucket. That's what he needs to do. All right, let's watch this.
Been a defensive game, but it's also been some struggling offenses for sure.
Mulcahy with the trap ball poked free. Mulcahy into the backcourt, scooped up by
Excellent defensive play. Excellent.
the Hawkeyes and a timeout. Chris Murray making a huge play with 35 seconds to go.
They protected the basket.
Toussaint needs to get it in a hurry. Jumps it into McCaffrey. That was close. Here's McCaffrey on the drive, looking for the tie. He's got it.
That was big time by Patrick McCaffrey.
That was a
Had
good
quiet
shot.
night. He turns that.
Regardless of what I said about Fran playing his boy and not playing Chris as much as he should, aka nepotism. And I don't want to call it nepotism. Let's just call it bad rotation. Okay. That was a good play.
That corner, using the offhand, shielding off Paul Mulcahy, a monster basket for Patrick McCaffrey.
So here we go. Late stages of a game. Robbie Hummel in a building. Rutgers a chance to win it late.
They're going to run Ron Harper Jr. up here and instead of ball screen. I think Iowa might go zone. No, they're going to stay man-to-man.
3 seconds. Harper, 2 seconds. And a foul.
All right. All right. That's the second call that was bad. And it would be interesting to know if the main culprit of the first bad call, which was Joe Toussaint's shot not being counted, was this guy. Okay. It's obvious that this guy is terrified and he wants to get out of that gym. Okay. Guys, that's a bad call. If you're going to call that, you have to call it with like 20 seconds to go. Okay. Under 20 seconds, and anybody who has played sports, especially at a high level, knows. Okay. In college, when I played water polo, under a minute, the ref would come to our bench and say, listen, it's up to you guys. That's what they would do. They would say, it's up to you guys. And only the strong survived. So, I mean, I'm serious about that. Only the strong survived. And I've even had it done in basketball. Under 20 seconds, they're not going to call anything. Unless literally the dude has his head taken off. Okay. That was as knick-knack as it gets. With 2 seconds left, literally what that ref did was gifted and said, as long as you make 1 free throw, here's the ball game. And that's too bad. That's too bad because Rutgers had it go all the way down in order to play for overtime. They didn't want to give any time left for Iowa to have another shot. So it was a bad call. It was terrible. Okay. Let's just call it what it is. It was terrible. Let me turn it back on without the sound. It was terrible. Okay. But the reality is that Iowa had other opportunities. Like I said, they missed free throws. They were playing the game of you shoot it. No, you shoot it. No, you shoot it. Which was not good. And man, and even this, that was a well executed play. Keegan Murray had a pretty good shot at it. Allergies. So what does this mean? Well, Rutgers is, I think, let's take a look at Rutgers. I'm pretty sure Rutgers is like 5-2 in the Big Ten. Let's see if we can see that. Let me see. Let's see. I mean, I don't really care what this means for Rutgers, but yeah, they're 5-2. They're 5-2. And Iowa moves to 3-4. Okay. And this, honestly, folks, this was probably Iowa's worst loss of the season. I don't know if you guys were aware of this, but Rutgers came into the season, came into this game, I think, number 116 in the net rankings. Not good. So this was Iowa's worst game. Keegan Murray had 13 points. Patrick McCaffrey had 11. Philip Rebraca had 8 points. I like the way Philip has been playing. I really, really do. I think he can even take it up a notch. I do. Iowa is number 22 in KenPom. This loss won't really affect Iowa a ton in the rankings. It'll help Rutgers out a lot. That's because Rutgers just picked up a quad 1 win. They picked up a quad 1 win. And Iowa just picked up a quad 3 loss. Let's take a look at the net rankings. So, this was a very, very winnable game by the Iowa Hawkeyes. And it sucks that they didn't pick it up. I mean, I'm just being honest. It sucks because it was there for the taking. It was. And yes, were those 2 play calls bad? Yeah, they were. They were bad. Okay. But Iowa had other opportunities to make it to where those. Okay, so that was a quadrant 2 loss. To where those games didn't even, or the play call didn't even matter. Rutgers was net 113. So yeah, that's quad 2 loss. And let's look at the team stats before we get out of here. Who does Iowa have next? Purdue. Man, Iowa could very easily drop 2 in a row and slip to 2 games below 500, which would suck. All right, let's look at the team stats. Iowa shot 28% from the field. Not good. Not good. Total rebounds, they got out-rebounded again. And guess what? They lost. In each game that they have gotten out-rebounded, they have lost. I mean, I don't know how much more clear-cut it needs to be for them. They need to win the rebound battle. Man, that's not good. So hopefully Iowa gets back on. Listen, there's been some good stuff. I'll be honest with you. I don't like Chris Murray only playing 11 minutes. I don't like Aaron Eulis only playing 6 minutes. I think that Fran McCaffrey needs to be better with his rotation. And I think Iowa had opportunities to win that game outside of the bad calls. Now, with that being said, these were 2 very bad calls. Okay. And if Iowa wins this game, are we even talking about half the stuff we're talking about now? Maybe not. Maybe not. So let's look ahead to what Iowa has coming up. And also, Iowa had 10 turnovers. That was not good. Iowa does not turn the ball over a lot, but they turned it over quite a bit against Rutgers. Iowa has Penn State next, and they need to win that game. That's a must win because, in reality, they could, when I showed you guys this before, they could have come out of this. Let's see. What are they now? I just saw it. They could have come out of this 4-3 going into playing Penn State for a chance to be 5-3, 2 games over 500, which would have been huge. Guys, that would have been huge to be 2 games over 500. That would have given Iowa some cushion in this league. But now, I wouldn't say they're behind the 8 ball, but they're not as comfortable as they once were. They need to beat Penn State. They need to get back to 500, okay? They need to get back to 500, all right? All right, guys, that will about do it for me. It was a fun game, tough loss. I still believe in this Iowa team. I think they have a lot of skill, a lot of talent, a lot of athletic ability. So we will see what changes they make going forward. I think the 2 biggest changes that they need to make is getting Chris Murray in the game much more and, well, quite frankly, playing one of their 2 6'11" bigs a couple of minutes a game to provide some rebounding and to provide some relief for the other guys. But not before, this is the end of the show. I really do hope you consider hitting that subscribe button, going to 247hawkeye.com and going back to hitting the subscribe button. Well, subscribing makes you feel good. And at the very least, like, comment, share. You know the drill. I'll put the PayPal link in the description. Follow me on Twitter at 247Hawkeye. And last but not least, DBAP, don't be a pussy willow, and facts are feelings. Your feelings don't matter. Love y'all. See y'all next time. Go Hawks.